Why, hello there. Well, ever so sorry about that. It's been a while since we've had any technical difficulties, and by golly, have we got a technical difficulty for you today. But we're going to do what we can to get through it because that's how we work. That's outrageous behaviour, John Commode. And this is not how you get yourself into my good books immediately. There we go. Connor's still doing his hair. Could have well been, but he's not. Welcome. To a carefully thought out one for once. I haven't actually just put this together on a whim. We've got people here for very specific reasons, which I feel like is very important and should become quite obvious the further down the road we go. Plenty to talk about today. We are going to be talking a little bit about Alessia Russo, that she's injured. Basically, if we feel like this strength in depth really is strength in depth, I'm intrigued. It's a question that has haunted me over these last couple of days, and I feel like we should have a little conversation about it and see what people think. We're going to talk about how our players are up for awards, which is great news, and our manager too. And then, as you might have noticed, level with me, we have the marvellous Englanders, and just below me, we have the marvellous not Englanders, also known as the Americans. So, very much so, I shall be remaining entirely neutral, as I both love the USA and England. I have to be honest, they're both beautiful places. So I sit there right in the middle, and Charlie and John are going to go up against Marty and Beth, and we shall see who is victorious in the preamble before we get to the main event. Before we start, as ever, let's have ourselves a little round the clock and see how we're doing. Charlie, everything okay?
Yeah, all good, thank you. Looking forward to talking about two of my favourite things, United and then England women as well. So it should be a good one tonight, yeah.
Absolutely. And we'll go to an American. Marty, perhaps you might want to use thumbs. We'll see how we go. I told you it was a doozy. I wasn't kidding. She couldn't hear us at all before. Not at all. Not in the slightest. It was unbelievable. We sort of got there, but we shall see. Marty might be doing a lot of her communicating in the comments. We'll see how we get on. And Beth, how are you getting on?
Yeah, I'm good. Good. Happy to be back.
Good to have you back. And Mr. John Neville. There we go. Exactly, TJ. Yes. I really think you should yourself out, if I'm honest with you, TJ, before you came on live. But there we go. And John, how are you getting on?
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Barry. Thanks for having me on again. Looking forward to it tonight.
Excellent. So we're going to make a start because I want to be done before 8 o'clock so that everybody can go and watch the big game that's coming up. But the question that is on my lips at the moment, as I've mentioned already, is Alessia Russo. Now, all talk is always about the fact we want to give Alessia Russo a new contract. Everybody says it. It's the one thing we really want. We must get Russo under contract. So clearly, I think we're all agreed, even just amongst us all, that Alessia Russo deserves a new contract, right? And that we need to get her signed up as soon as possible. We all nod in there? Excellent. We all agree with that. My big question is that obviously she didn't play in the Conti Cup. And the two games that she did play, she scored a goal in each, and we won them both. Conti Cup, she didn't play. Lots of the people came in who were understudies or starting to play for the team for the first time. Didn't necessarily shine in their big audition, shall we say. So my question to you really on this one, first of all, is who steps up? Who steps up? Russo's not there because Leon's played up there and hasn't yet managed to score a goal. Thomas has played up there, hasn't yet managed to score a goal. That's not to say they won't, but I guess really the question is, are you worried? Are you worried that if Russo's not there, obviously we know she's got what has been described as, and I quote, a small injury. Me neither. What do we think? So we will kick off with, as ever, young Charlie.
Young. Yeah, obviously when your starting striker, your best forward is out injured, that is always going to be a loss. I would say it's probably a little bit unfair to perhaps judge one or two of the other forwards based on the Conti Cup performance because that was a wholesale change. it would be better to judge them when they're playing alongside who would probably be other starting 11 players. I'll be more worried if it was last season when we had very little option but to replace, because Martha Thomas was also having to play out on the right. But I think we've seen glimpses. I think in pre-season we saw some exciting bits and pieces from Leon, particularly with a hold-up play in a position, her ability to run the channels and create space for others. And obviously Paris has got off to a good start in her first start for United with a brilliant goal in the Conti Cup. So yes, it's disappointing. I would rather have her fit than not, but I don't think it's all doom and gloom at the moment. I think we've got a lot of options. I think with the range of attacking players we've got as well, it might be that we don't have to play with that focal point number 9. We might do something slightly different because we brought in all those options. So it'd be interesting to see, she says, what happens in the first game back after the international break. Like, she might be there. It might genuinely be a small injury. But yeah, I think no reason to worry at the moment. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more information as and when.
Okay, that was the end right there. As and when. Okay, there we go. We've stopped. All right. Okay. In point here from Marcus immediately. Small injury in club speak. Out for 6 months.
Marcus,
I hope
no.
not. This is outrageous manifestation. And if it comes true, you're getting 0 points on the prediction league, whether you got them right or not, because this is an unacceptable prediction. Well, let's go over to one of the Americans. Beth, what's your thoughts? Alessia Russo, is there anyone who can step up in there? Mickey Dunn's put a straight swap with Leon in the normal squad. I think we'll do just fine. Do you agree?
Yeah, I actually fully agree with that comment. I've seen her with Canada, and we saw her last year with West Ham. I think she'd be a really good straight swap. I will say I wouldn't have the expectations of Russo on her at the very beginning, because Russo has a lot more time to actually have had a lot more time to gel with the team. But I think she'd be fine in that position, 100%.
Fair enough. And John, would you agree with that also?
Yeah, I think you could sort of see at the Conti Cup game, that Russo's, obviously a big loss. I think it was probably inevitable at some time that there was probably going to be a time when we might be without her. I thought it might not be quite this early on in the season, but it looks like it's happened. So yeah, but I'd like to think now we've got the bit more depth in there, and yeah, hopefully either Leon or Martha Thomas will slot in there, and we'll be good to go.
Absolutely. Now, I'm just going to point out, we highlight this comment just a moment ago. I'm just going to highlight it again, purely because the only reason I said that she's got, I was at this game, so I should know better. So slap on the wrist for me, because I was there. I watched the whole thing. I know Alessia Russo didn't score. However, the last thing this man said to me when we were talking about this topic was she only scored one in both. And so as a result, I sat there and thought, oh dear, how am I going to get that into the conversation? And here I am now wishing that I had just done my own research as I normally do. Never mind. That's my own fault. And I will take my medicine. We are going to try magic right about now, because we're going to try and go over to Marty. Now, I have to warn you, you might want to cover your ears. We're going to see how this goes. I'm going to introduce this particular thing. So what we should have is on the left of Marty, as you're looking at it, should be her voice box. And then you will be able to look in the middle to see what's going on. So we're going to unmute this one.
Okay.
Yes! Love it when technology. Well played, Marty.
Yeah, this has been a total pain in the ass right now. Okay, so I think Leon needs more minutes on the pitch. Okay, she's not going to get into a rhythm unless she gets minutes. She's really good at turning in the box, just outside the box. The only problem she's got is she's short. I mean, she is truly short, so you can't be expecting her to do what Russo does, which is be able to head the ball in on set plays. Okay, that's just not her. But if she's outside the box, up where the line is, I mean, she can take that ball. She can either pass it in or shoot. Okay, she's got great foot handling. And for whatever reason, it doesn't come across in club as it does for the country. She plays so much better with Canada than she does with club. And that's with any club, historically, any club. And so a lot of times that conveys over to Canada that they tend to forget her. But God, when they try her, man, she shows up. She really does show up. So I just think she needs more minutes to get used to the girls, and the girls getting used to her. Okay. And I do think you need to expand beyond Alessia, because you don't know if she's staying. I mean, she is a top quality and you just don't know. That's my 2 cents. And I'm just glad you could actually hear me.
I'm glad we can hear you as well, because to be quite honest with you, it's a long way for you to travel through the internet just to sit there and look pretty. So very nice to have you actually talking. So well done, you.
I'll take the compliment
by yourself. And to do that with one hand as well, even better. So this is the level of effort you go through for United, and that's why we love you. I'm going to scroll back just ever so briefly here, because somebody, I think it was TJ, put quite an interesting point. There we go. It was right early on in the show. Personally, I think we may be too reliant on scoring on corners and other set pieces more than Lessie, which is interesting. I think when I was thinking about where this show was going to go, when I'm talking about Reliant, what I mean is she's the one who I think we would all hold up as the potential top scorer for the team this season. She scored the most last season. Is she going to score the most this season? Probably. You would expect her to. She's having that sort of breakout moment. So when I talk about Reliance, I'm talking about, is she almost like the person that we hold up as the one that is going to score us the most goals? But when we think about it, it's not just a central striker. We've got the two people on the left and the right as well that help. And within that, we've got people such as Galton, Paris, Garcia, Toon, obviously just behind. Vilderbo Reese has had a go as well, Grace Clinton. So my next question really is, do you see a lot of goals coming from there? Obviously, Nikita Paris got her first goal on her first start last weekend. Are we still feeling optimistic, I suppose, is where we're really going? Because we had a very optimistic start. Everyone seemed to be really joyful about the fact we had so many good signings coming in. Is it just a case of giving them a chance just to bed in a bit more and not jumping the gun and overreacting, I suppose, Charlie?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we were discussing in the build-up to the season before we'd made a lot of the signings, we were talking about the fact that we need to get players in so that we don't end up being reliant on Russo. I mean, I know she is our top goal scorer, but she scored 9. She scored 9 in the league last year when you compare that to the likes of Kerr and Miedemar and Mead and what they're producing. So she scores proportionally more of our goals than others, but I wouldn't say we've been overly reliant on her goals. You've got Toon scoring 8, you've got Galton scoring 8, Zellam's getting 5 or 6. And we brought those other players in deliberately because we said we needed more goals across the front line. And it just looks like, perhaps not in the way we would have liked, but we're going to get to see whether that's actually going to come to fruition, if that's what's going to happen. I think we've seen a lot from Garcia. She's looked incredible and has obviously had her goal and been involved in the build-up to a lot of other goal-scoring opportunities and goals that we've scored. So yeah, it's always disappointing, isn't it, when one of what you class as your world-class players is out injured, but we're not a one-player team. I would want her there, but I think we've got so many other options now, not that could replace her, but that could provide a different threat. So like Marty was saying there, Leon's not going to swap like for like and be on the penalty spot waiting for headers. That doesn't mean she's not going to be a threat. She's going to be a threat in different ways. We've seen Garcia play across the front line for her club that she played for in Spain. We've seen her do that for Spain. So we know there's loads of options there. Martha Harris, Martha Harris, can you imagine? Martha was obviously shifted out on the right, close, yeah. It's dead similar player. Was shifted out onto the right for a lot of last season, but she's got a lot she can offer if given the opportunity as that central number 9. And if you wanted a more similar like-for-like swap, I'd probably go for her just because of her height and her physicality. But yeah, it's disappointing, but we've so many options now. It would be bizarre to me for people to be thinking, oh, that's it. What's the point? It's just, that implies we've got no one else who can offer anything. Got loads of players that can offer things. The end. Sorry, Barry, just so you know. Make it
Therefore,
clear.
I'm ever so sorry. I was actually on, I'm going to use another common excuse. I was on another tab just trying to get some information for later on that we would require. And what was actually going through my head was, could I share my screen on that one? Turns out no, I couldn't. Because I ended up on BBC Sounds, which is not really where I expected to be. And then you finished. But there we go. That's my problem, not yours. Beth, I've left this one up there. TJ's cautiously optimistic that someone else can step up and score goals and assists, but I have to believe it. Would you go along with that? He's a fellow American like yourself. We're pretty much convinced at All for United that it is actually Marty. We've had this conversation many times. But yes, do you agree with Marty / TJ? Marty J? Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of seen it starting already this year. I think it definitely needs to be more. I know Tooney's really not been playing the best so far this season, but if Bella Russo can come in, she can absolutely play that position. If not, even maybe in number 8, we can try there too. But we've seen Hannah Blundell get a goal. We know Anna can get goals. The Waynes can get goals. Even Maya Letitia can get goals. We've seen Millie Turner in the past get goals. So, like, right now, I'm cautiously optimistic because we have slowly started to see that already start in the past couple games. But I do think we need to see it more. Absolutely.
John, your thoughts in general about the front line as a whole, including the likes of Tooney? You know, should we be worried that we didn't quite get across the line in the Villa game and we didn't quite seem to have that cutting edge that we had in the previous 2 games?
Yeah, I'm not too worried at this moment in time. I mean, obviously we saw the amount of changes for the Villa game, and obviously that had quite a large effect on the performance of the team. But I think as far as going back to league games, once we sort of get sort of more settled side, and once the new players get more minutes in, then I think we'll be okay. I think we've got good squad, good range of quality players, and hopefully I think they'll be able to weigh in with goals, different players scoring, sharing the goals about, so that we're not we're not too reliant on 1 or 2 players.
Absolutely. And Marty, I've sort of saved this one for you because this is the one that Sang just come up with. Can you score when the chips are down? This is the difference between a win and a draw sometimes. The fact that goals need to come from all across the park. He said that. The question is, do you have goal scorers that can do it when you don't dominate games? The Villa game, I feel, is a reasonable point on that one. And I will come to the other 3 of you for your point on this as well very quickly. But what I want to ask was, to you 3, were Villa just too good on the day for us? Or was it that we didn't perform to our usual standards? So was it Villa being too good, or was it us not being at our best and we allowed Villa to play? So that's what you 3 are going to need to answer. Marty, you can throw that one in as well, but onto the wider bit as well. Do you believe that the front line that we have got can score when the chips are down, and are you worried?
I think that it wasn't so much Villa as much as they kept putting pressure on us and we weren't stepping up for it. I think that Tooney is right now, and Russo a little bit, is just exhausted from the Euros. I really do think that it's a bit of a letdown. It's like in baseball, it's called dead arm. You've worked so hard, and then there's a time period where functionally you're correct, but you're not working. It's just not working. And it's just a matter of getting out of it. And she just needs time, maybe a little rest. And I think in terms of having money players, I think Tooney and Russo have already proved that they're money players. Okay. I would not bet the bank on Nikita Paris. I'm sorry, but I've watched her for years and years. And while she gets her goals, I've never seen her get a goal when they need a goal. I've seen her get goals, just not when they need a goal. I think that it depends upon the team that we're playing, and how strong they are to us as to how we can create. I think Ona and Garcia are extremely creative players. I think Zellum is very functional player. I don't see her being as creative as Ona and Garcia. I just don't put her in the same creativity area of someone who can just make a goal out of nothing, make a goal out of air. She scores goals, but mainly on set pieces, but you need to create those set pieces. So as long as we have the people creating those set pieces, Zellum can move forward with it. I love Leah, but Leah hasn't really gotten into the season yet. Okay, she needs to get into her rhythm. She's had some really great looks, but once she gets her rhythm down, all those great looks are going to turn into points. And I like Martha Thomas. I've always liked Martha Thomas, even when she was with West Ham. So I think she's just a tough player. You know, like she's just hard-nosed tough. And yeah, she's had some open headers in the past that should have been in the back of the net and they weren't. But, you know, she's not, that's Martha Thomas. I mean, you expect Russo to have those in. Okay. It's like Russo's not going to miss those. And that's the difference to me is who's your money in the bank? It's Russo and Tooney. Tooney's really tired. I mean, she just looks zapped. She has no energy in that Aston Villa match. I mean, she should have scored before. We should never have gone to penalties. And then when we had penalties, oh God, that was such a bad shootout. I mean, it was horrendously painful shootout. So hopefully I answered the question somehow.
You did.
That's
and I was going to argue with you about Nikita Paris, but then something far more important came up. Could you just say West Ham for me again?
why.
I'm just intrigued to see if it's how you're going to say it the same time, the second time
West
round.
Ham.
Okay, look, you asked it a bit like a question last time. I was like, the West Ham, and it came down, and I was very intrigued by
Well,
it.
it's West Ham United.
I know,
right?
I know. It was the way you said it, and it just made me.
Okay. And
Something-
personally,
something
they're
inside.
on what,
It
their
was lovely.
third or fourth manager in a row here from Matt Beard. I mean, it's like a freaking revolving door over there.
Oh, it's
If
a
we
magic
don't like
roundabout, for
kick
sure.
their butts, I don't know what's wrong with us when we come up against them.
Well, we
Just
shall work
saying.
it out. But there we go. That was thank you for doing that. That's cheered me up. That's going to make me chuckle when I go to bed tonight anyway, so that's nice. I think we've answered the question. We all know deep down we're only 3 games in. We couldn't really take this too seriously. There's no way we could be worried just yet. You've got to talk about something, haven't you? And it's because we didn't have any news. And then some news finally came out today because we have some people that have been nominated for Player or Manager of the Month. So we'll kick off with the players first. 6 have been nominated. Rachel Daly, would you believe? With 3, I'm going to call them goal contributions because some people have scored goals, some people have assisted in her 2 wins over the season so far. Fran Kirby, she's had 3 goal contributions as well. Myla Tissier, 3 goal contributions. Mead, 5. Souza, who's a defender, so she not only has 1 goal contribution, but 2 clean sheets to her name. And the almighty Katie Zellum has made the list as well, also with 3 goal contributions. So it's all really, really close. So I think first things first, we'll throw it around, but basically it's a double-edged question. Question number 1. Would you agree? 2 best played over those 2 games, Katie Zellum, Myla Tissier, hence why they're there. And then secondly, who do you think's winning it? And I think we'll kick off with John Neville. Let's give you a chance to kick off.
Yeah, I don't think you could argue with those nominations. Really, there's some good, good stats in there. I would think, personally, I'd like to give it to Myla Tissier. I think the way she started at United has been been phenomenal. Really, I knew she was a good player, but I didn't expect her to slot in so well and easily as she has done these first few games. But did you say Beth Mead had got 5 contributions?
5 goal contributions, yeah.
So yeah, that's it's very very impressive. That is, I must say. So you wouldn't be surprised if Beth Mead took it with that. But if my vote goes to Laetitia.
I mean, to be fair, they've only scored 8 goals, and she's been involved in 5 of them. So it's a bit of a stat, that really. Pogba-esque, some might say, if you remember that wonderful game where he had 5 goal contributions in our smashing win. Beth, what do you think? Agree with the 2 that have been put up for the nomination? And do you choose?
Yeah, I do. I think those 2 are. I think you could also give a shout to Anna or Garcia, honestly. But I have no criticisms of Laetitia and Zellum getting the nomination. I wouldn't be surprised if it either goes to. Personally, I would probably pick Laetitia, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to either Beth Mead or Rachel Daly. I mean, we've seen in the NWSL, like, Rachel Daly blew it up with Houston. Like, she would score goals for fun, and I'm not surprised she's doing it in the WSL. So I think a little bit of, like, oh, you're coming back to England and you're doing really well. I wouldn't be surprised if they give it to her. But like John said, I also wouldn't be surprised if they give it to Beth Mead either.
Fair points. Marty, what do you think? 2 for us? Agree with them both? And who are you choosing? You would have to unmute.
1 second. My sign. I don't have my sign. I think. Oh gosh, I had a whole argument. Okay, so looking at the standings, okay, we haven't lost and we don't have a draw in the WSL. Neither is Arsenal, and neither is Aston Villa, right? Those are the 3. So it makes total sense that Laetitia and who's it, Katie Zellum, that they got selected. Rachel Daly got selected, and you got 2 from Arsenal got selected. The fact that Beth Mead has 5 contributions and they've only scored 8 goals, I'm sorry, but that's a bit of a slam dunk to me. All right. Additionally, one of those goals is up for goal of the whatevers against Daly's goal. Okay, so
whatevers, that's a new one.
Yeah, it's what is it, the month, the week, whatever it is. NWSL has of the week. Okay, they do it every week, and then the WSL has it like every month. So it's and then you have the BBC and you got the PFA, and it's like alphabet soup. So whatever. So I would lean that probably Mead's going to get it, but I totally agree with Beth in that Rachel Daly has who's it, Kiss, she's got like golden sparkle, okay? And so like when she does something, it's usually like, how the heck did she do that? So I wouldn't be surprised if that sort of carries it. And the other thing is most of England's used to just seeing her play defense. And the fact that she's playing a striker in the WSL and she's kicking it, not like she did at West Ham, okay, which is interesting because it seems to me that Carla Ward had a conversation with her and basically said, how do you want to play? And we will design it around you. And she's kicking it now. So, yeah.
There we go.
That's my take.
And what a take it is. What a take it is. So what do you think, Charlie? Is it going to be Daly with the goal of the whatevers, or sorry, Mead with goal of the whatevers, or is it going to be somebody else?
I think MLT 2 goals and assist and 2 clean sheets should be well up there, but I think often defenders probably don't win these things, just like they tend to not win the big awards often, do they? But that it wouldn't be unfair if it went to someone else. It'll probably go to Mead, I think, just because she's in the limelight so much at the moment. There's the big push, isn't there, for the BBC Football of the Year. So she's out there. And I have to say, I just still find it staggering beyond belief that we don't see Rachel Daly get to play as more an attacker for England, because she is so good. Marty's right. I say it's like stardust around her. That's how I was describing it. You'd think with Russo out as well, ideal opportunity for Rachel Daly to play up front, just whack Alex Greenwood at left back, because she's incredible. And Villa have got good players. They've got good players. They've got Carla Ward is a good manager. Rachel Daly has flicked the switch. They've got a superstar now, and a real leader. And for me, that's why I'd probably give it to her over Beth Mead. Beth Mead is not that she's not incredible, but she's surrounded by world-class players. World-class, back to front. Whereas Villa have got a good side, but I wouldn't say she's surrounded by world-class players, similar to United. We're not surrounded by world-class players. So I think the impact she has had, for me, has been greater proportionally because of where she is and what she's done. So I would give it to her, but I expect it to go to Beth Mead.
Well, there you go. And responding to that, with Williamson injured, I think Greenwood we needed at centre back, so we'd still need a left back. Hannah Blundell, anyone?
Got loads of left backs. Got loads of them. England.
Well, there you go. I think I agree. I would probably give it to Mead, but that's just because I'm looking at the big numbers. And I do think that's probably likely to be the case. 5 goal contributions out of 8. I think that's a little bit tricky to get over. But yeah, nobody mentioned Fran Kirby, which just goes to show you how far the mighty have fallen in the month of September.
No, it's because you just expect that, don't you? Now you just expect that of Fran.
No, they're rubbish. That's
the reason Fran Kirby's done on that list is because Chelsea's done undefeated.
True.
Yeah, they played 3 games.
Yeah, where was Fran when they were losing 2-1 to Liverpool? That's what I'm wondering.
Well, my guess is, not in front of the goal, which is why they didn't score. So, Sang's not here, I'm guessing, because we're not hearing anything, but I'm sure he'll pipe up should something happen. So that's the players. Well done. Now let's take a look at the managers of the month that have been awarded. It's not going to come as any surprise over 2 games which 3 people have been chosen. You probably could have picked these out of the hat without too much reading. Oh, he is here. Hold tight, everybody. There we go. He will have to cry into I don't know if that's 1 or 3 trophies, or quite what you're saying there. But there we go. As long as you're crying, that's really all I was after on that one, to be fair. What I wanted to talk about was the managers. Idavel, Mark Skinner, and Carla Ward. Those are the 3 people up for them. Not a huge amount of difference between both of them. They've all won 2 games out of 2, as we just mentioned. And really the difference comes in the goals. Arsenal have scored 8, conceded none. Manchester United have scored 6, conceded none. Aston Villa have scored 6, but conceded 3. So, where do you stand on this debate? Which one of those do you think would be the best? In my mind, I think I know where most of you might go based on the fact they're not necessarily often up there. But it'll be very interesting to see what your thoughts are. So we'll go with the same start again, John Neville. Who are you going for?
I'd say be biased and give it to Skinner. I say, I think.
I knew I could rely on you. Knew I could rely on you. Right? He'll say Skinner. No dramas.
Give it to Skinner, definitely. No, I personally I'd like to see him get it, but I think like you say, there's obviously the argument for Idavel with him scoring the most goals out of the 3. But then again, there might not be many other times when Carla Ward gets is nominated alongside those 2. So it'll be an interesting one. I think very close, but give it Skinner in my opinion. But in a way, he does deserve it, doesn't he, John? I mean, it's not just a case of
not just for the month, but
Yeah.
he knew that he had to come in. He's had to work incredibly hard to make sure that the players have come in and performed, because the pressure was on. You bring in 7 new players in the manner that he has, when we know we're aiming for the top 3 this time. He had to make a fast start, didn't he? Beating Reading, beating West Ham. He had to do it, and he did.
Absolutely, yeah. No, the way he got him playing, certainly that that first game against Reading, they were awesome that day. So yeah, credit to Skinner for getting them all in order before the start of the season.
Absolutely. Beth, where are you going with this one? Who's getting the Beth C Manager of the Month award?
Carla Ward. I know that Skinner's done really well at United, but I still have kind of in the past, I had watched Orlando, and I still have kind of a love-hate relationship with how he left. But he's doing really well at United, so I wouldn't be mad if he got it, but I definitely think it should go to Carla Ward, and only because Aston Villa, somebody said it, when is the last time Villa performed as well as they are? They're doing amazing. And
say that. I reckon he's trying to say, when is the last time Villa performed? Oh, that would be Conti Cup.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. That's definitely fair, but some of the players that she's brought in, mostly Rachel Daly, has just lit it up. So that's my opinion.
I agree. Now, I don't know if I dare go to this particular square, but we'll see. So, Marty, I've left this one up because your alter ego just said I can just imagine the haters on the Bird app go crazy if Skinner gets it. So you've got 2 questions. Question 1, who do you think is going to get it? And question 2, Moni Joe, if Skinner gets it.
I realize that it's only for the WSL, but you cannot tell me that people who follow women's soccer didn't see Aston Villa beat Man United in penalty shootouts for the County Cup. When Man United was up a goal, their, wholesale changes, it makes a difference. So I don't see Skinner getting it. I do think that he did good in the first two matches, but he essentially played the exact same lineup, and he still hasn't quite realized that he can make a sub, before the 85th minute. It drives me a little nuts when he's got this huge roster that he needs to keep everybody happy with, and his solution is to just, everybody just plays the Conti Cup and that'll be great, and so then you end up with unfamiliarity is the best word I could use for it, because I question that if they're in practice, are they practicing that team, and how often were these girls playing together on the pitch, that was in that lineup. Who I think will get it is Wardy. I think Carla Ward will get it. Because of exactly what everybody has said. Aston Villa last season and Aston Villa this season are not equal. They're nowhere near each other. It's a pale comparison of what they had last season to where they're at this season. And this season, they're competing like the Hotspurs were last season. Okay. In fact, I think I look forward to Aston Villa playing Tottenham, because I think that's going to be a hell of a match. I think that they've made good signings. I think she's doing a great job. Yes, she has to work on defense to keep clean sheets, but I think that will be coming eventually as she grows into the season, and also as her budget grows, and hopefully that will come about. Jonas, he's got 4-0 first 2 games. They made it into the Champions League to move on into the group stage. And he's got a bonus of players that he's getting everybody playing together. So I think he's doing a very good job, but I don't think he's going to win. I think it's going to go to Carla Ward.
Okay, so Carla Ward from Marty. Charlie, have we saved the best till last? Are you going Skinner, or are you going to go down the obvious route of saying Carla Ward as well?
No, I wouldn't have picked her. I think it's the right three choices, obviously, because you have to pick the teams that have been the managers that have had the most successful teams over the time period. If we're just looking at WSL, I think across the two first fixtures, I think United and Arsenal, from a performance level, have outperformed Villa. I think Carla Ward said herself that Villa were terrible against Leicester. I think she said that. Obviously, they still got the win. That's the important thing, isn't it? And I always love, obviously, that they turned City over. That's really nice. And in the fashion in which they did it was particularly enjoyable because Man City thought they were going to go on to win that game. So that was lovely. But I can never not be biased in this situation. It's a weakness. It's a horrible weakness of mine. Terrible. So I will give it to Skinner. Me, if it was down to me, he'd get it every month, even if we lost every single game of football. I think Jonas will get it just because of the manner in which Arsenal have won their games. I also think there's a little bit of gloss on that because they won at the Emirates. They properly turned Tottenham over, didn't they? That was an embarrassment, really, for Tottenham. That could have got really ugly at certain points. So I expect him to get it. But I wouldn't I think there'd be no issue with any of the three of them. There'd be no issue. How can you argue with three managers whose teams haven't lost? Two of them have not conceded. Carla Ward has beaten City, hasn't she? Which is historically one of the big three, now big four, and brought Tottenham from a place where last season at times it looked like they might have been in the relegation battle. So she's got the right players in. She's got them playing in the right way. But I would say Hart, Skinner, but I reckon it goes to Jonas if we're solely looking at performance and how they've won games. I would think probably can't look past the Arsenal manager for me.
Interesting. I think all three of them have got shouts, haven't they, really?
Yeah.
Obviously, Arsenal top of the table, and they have performed exceptionally well there. Skinner, again, brilliant stuff.
I'm just glad Emma Hayes isn't in that list. Yet again.
Well, how can she be? There are only four.
Give someone else
Fairly worth having.
changed.
Remember, it's a failure to finish fourth, Charlie. So, must remember this. It's unacceptable behaviour. So, what's this? I'm never interested in player or manager of the month, but would love Skinner to win it. There we go. I'm hoping you mean manager because if he gets player of the month, something's gone very wrong, John. Very wrong indeed. Just wanted to point that out. Right. Let's go on to the last little bit. We've got about 10 minutes, really, if we can get this finished. But it is time for the battle of, I don't know what to call it. I've had so much time to think about it, and I've lost it entirely. So we just call it the battle of the podcast, the BOP. And as we're on here, it's going to be England against USA. I've lost it, Charlie. It's all gone. It was all there, and now it's all gone. The teams have been announced. America, we've got Nair, Cook, Rodman, Huerta, Horan, Smith, Germer, Rapinoe, Lavelle, Sullivan, and Fox. So about four names I recognise there. England have gone for Earps, Bronze, Bright, Greenwood, Daly, Walsh, Stanway, Kelly, Kirby, Hemp, and, of course, Golden Child, Beth Mead. So only Mary Earps starting in that game as a player for Manchester United. So still England's number one. Alongside us as well. Previous games, 2-0 to the USA in the She Believes Cup. That was the last one that we played against them with. We got pretty much whooped in that one. Carly Lloyd and Kristen Press, remember her? She scored a goal. They quite liked doing that to Kristen Press because she did it again in the World Cup semi-final when we lost 2-1. Naya made a save on a penalty because Steph Horton couldn't score, and then as a result they did. Alex Morgan scored, and again Kristen Press. So here's where we are now. We're the European champions. You guys, I think, just won some CONCACAF tournament, if I'm correct.
They're the world champions. They're the world champions, Bazza. I think they're the world champions, aren't they?
Don't throw that out there. We don't need that sort of negativity right now.
If you downplay it, okay.
All right, apparently you also won something called the World Cup as well, whatever that is. Doesn't sound that important to me. But either way, so what's that, 4 times? Is that what that is, 4 times? Well, nobody loves somebody who boasts. Just ask Sam. Let's put it out there simply. We've seen the teams. What do we think? leave it to about a minute per person. John Neville, what do you think of the teams, and who do you think is going to win?
Yeah, it looks like both teams have pretty much gone, or certainly England look like they've gone as strong as they can do. I thought Toon might have started, but hopefully she might come on maybe half time, something like that. But yeah, it should be a good spectacle. Obviously, there's a sort of full house at Wembley expected, so it'll be a fantastic atmosphere, no doubt. As far as result goes, I could perhaps some reason I've got 1-1 in my head. I can see just a score draw going off. To be honest, I think it'll be fairly tight.
My side, it's absolutely trying to blow me to shreds here. Of course, I'm neutral. I've been nothing other than that. Especially now there's only Mary Earps playing. Who really cares about England? But you can't score a goal. Surely, any Manchester United fan now, whether you're American or not, is sitting there going, well, we can't score a goal against our Mary. We love Mary. Surely that's the only neutrality we should be caring about here. I don't know. Beth, let's go to you. What do you think of the two teams, and who's going to win it?
Yeah, I agree with John. They both put out the strongest that we have. I'm excited to see Trinity Rodman, and I'm excited to see Sophia Smith and how they can get in behind. I do think it's going to be interesting because both teams are in different places at the moment. But I think with our physicality and our speed and our technical play, we do have a lot of good technical players. I can see us winning 2-1, but I could also see it being a draw. Basically, I have no idea. We could also lose the game because it could be so inconsistent. Who knows? We'll find out.
100% those are the three possibilities that could occur. That is an absolute fact. You are definitely going to win, lose, or draw. That is nailed on. Marty, what's your thoughts?
Okay, my thoughts is that England put out the strongest lineup they have. They've replicated the Euros. US, not so much. I would have, he purposely put Trinity Rodman to start. And I think the main reason he's got her starting is he wants to see what the fullbacks of England can do, whether she can beat them. How fast is she? She and Sophia Smith are going to be on the wings. Okay. I would have, if he wanted to go stronger, he would have put, actually, let me correct that because Rapinoe's in it. Pino never plays the middle. She'll only play a wing. Okay. And the only reason she's in there is for stability and to mind the kids. Okay. Literally, she's going to be minding the kids. Ashley Sanchez is going to be in this game. Andy Sullivan, the best I've ever seen her play for a national team was in Cleveland the last time out. And she ran that midfield. And she really stepped up. If she continues to do that, England's going to have trouble. Okay, Rose Lavelle is basically a loose cannon to do whatever the hell Rose wants to do. So I want to see Emily Fox against Lauren Hemp. I want to see that matchup because the last time Emily Fox was, in 2019 against France, TJ was absolutely correct. She got her ass handed to her. Okay, so Diani just ran her into the ground. The pairing of we got Sauerbrunn. Okay, Sauerbrun's sitting on the bench, and they got Germer and Cook, which is an awesome tandem in the back. Okay, so it's going to be. I want to know whether England can score on them. So essentially, I think Vlatko is basically saying, "This is the measuring stick. How do we match up? And we either going to get our asses handed to us, or we're going to be able to make it through." I don't think it's going to be a draw. I think either they're going to win or we're going to win. It's going to be one way or the other. And I am not surprised to not see Tooney because Tooney is a freaking super sub and Serena is not going to, she's not going to not use her.
There you go. One way or another. Absolutely. Charlie, what's your thoughts?
I think obviously the only change really there, well, if you think about the Euros, is Williamson is the big one missing, isn't she? Which is where we could potentially struggle, because obviously Beth and Marty have talked about the pace of the American forwards, and I think how we deal with that will be key, because we've got a really good back line, but they aren't the quickest. And what they did so well at the Euros was manage the height of the back line, and positionally they were really good. So they weren't caught out often by teams. And what I'm really interested to see what we do with our front four there, because there's no obvious number 9, is there? They're clearly not doing that, because it's Mead, Hemp, Kirby and Chloe Kelly. So I imagine there'll be a lot of movement there across that front line. So we're interested to see how America cope with that. I also fully expect, talk about Rose Lavelle, I fully expect Georgia Stanway within 3.5 minutes to absolutely clatter her. I also think, like, I've noted, like, looks like fairly young side for America, but then you have obviously got Lavelle and Rapinoe, and I think playing at Wembley in front of 90,000 is a massive deal. And England have done that quite a lot recently, playing in front of crowds that big or almost as big as. So that might have a bit of an impact. Having them in there might help with that.
Yeah.
I think England are going to win 3-1 is what I'm expecting. I think England will win 3-1. I don't think, again, it's probably just bias, I don't think it will be as it has been in previous meetings. Like we talk about the She Believes in the World Cup semi-final, where it has been pretty one-sided in the end. England just haven't had enough in the tank and haven't had the playing squad to deal with what America could front up with. I'm also really interested, I know you said a minute, I'm also really interested to see, because Beth, you were talking before the show about it being like a bit of a transitional period for them, in sort of the build up to the World Cup, which you think might still come a little bit too soon, but we'll see. Because obviously America played a good number of games recently. They beat Canada, didn't they? Beat Canada 1-0. But the other, I don't think, of competition. So, like, was it Mexico, Haiti? I've seen Costa Rica, Nigeria. It's a big month for America. They've got England, they've got Germany, they've got Spain. So I think this is a big month to see whereabouts they're at as well. So I think it'll be a good month to see what they can do sort of in the build up to the World Cup. So it's quite exciting. I'm excited.
Absolutely. The last thing really I wanted to bring up about this particular match is just the absolute joy that this is a 90,000 sellout at Wembley. Just some facts for you here. It sold out in less than 24 hours, which is similar to a concert. It's the quickest selling football match played at Wembley Stadium ever. Whether you be a man, whether you be a woman, quickest selling football match at Wembley ever. But nobody ever wants to watch the women's game, right? But the biggest ever, quickest selling, just in case you didn't get that. Again, in less than 30 seconds, and we'll kick off with you, Marty. How big is that for the women's game that it's selling out that quick over here in England?
Oh, I think it's huge. I don't think the Americans will be, cowed by the crowd, because they've played and they're used to playing in huge stadiums in front of huge numbers. Maybe it's not the 90K, but it's there. Believe me, they're not going to be cowed by it. If anything, it's they have to manage that they don't go through the brick wall yet. They have to manage their emotions, because this is for 2 years since COVID, the U.S. really has not been able to schedule competitive, up against the top 10. Okay, we haven't met Germany, we haven't met France, we haven't met that, and the whole thing is they were all invested in the Euros. Okay, and so we couldn't get on their schedule. So yeah, we played Iceland, we played Czechoslovakia, we played all these other teams. Plus, we were in transition. Okay, and when you're bringing up a whole bunch of new players and you're trying to get them work to themselves, you do have to play a little softer teams. The problem with that is when you're playing softer teams, they tend to be more physical because they don't have the technical skills. So we end up with a whole lot of injuries. All right. And it's a bad deal. It really is a bad deal. So Vlatko's in transition. I do think he knows what the heck he's doing, contrary to a lot of public opinion on that. But I also think that he needs, at this point, he needs to start getting the pairing and the people who he wants in his midfield, the triangle of the midfield, the pairing of the fullbacks and the center backs, and also making sure that he has a quality backup goalie, because that's what burned us in the Olympics. We would never have lost the Olympics for the gold medal match if it wasn't for the fact that Alessia Russo got injured. My
Time
opinion.
flows differently in America, doesn't it, Marty? It just flows very, very differently.
Hey, you know what? We win a lot. We expect to win a lot, and we're going to continue to win a lot.
Okay. So, Beth, we're going to try that again in under 30 seconds. How big is it that we sold out so quickly over here in England?
Yeah, it's huge. I was in line trying to get a ticket, and I wasn't able to get one. But no, it is huge, and it's amazing. But I agree with Marty. We've played in huge stadiums with crowds completely against us, and the players know what they're doing, and the veterans are going to help the younger players to be able to maintain that focus and not worry about anything that goes on in the crowd. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Excellent. Thank you. John, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely amazing. That, yeah, really, really impressive to hear that it's, it was sold out that quick, and it's, very encouraging for the future. Tell that we're going to have a lot more, fans going to games, and just growing the women's game in general. Yeah, it's really, really pleasing.
And Charlie, your thoughts?
Lost the mute button. Yeah, massive, isn't it? They picked the perfectly timed just after the Euros final, and perfect opposition, I think, to pick. You want the next game at Wembley to be a blockbuster, don't you? So who better to select England to line up against than the US women's national team?
Absolutely. Well, the game is about to kick off. They've just taken the knee. I was going to go down one more conversational route, but I really do think everybody just wants to go off and watch this absolute humdinger of an international game that was just about to kick off, but Horan cheated and didn't actually kick the ball, so that's exciting. We'll see what's going on there. Cheated, obviously didn't cheat. Of course he didn't. I'm neutral. No, I think the last thing I want to say really about this match, we just saw it there. The entire women's teams getting together there for Protect the Players. I think it's really important that we notice, and I did want to just go into this a little bit more, but like I said, I think now is the time to just stop it. But it is really important that we realise that in all cases of football, whether it be children's football, women's football, men's football, the players should be being protected. And at this particular moment, they're not being so. This feels like a really important moment for women's football. And I really hope that those people that are affected by it are okay, and that they have the opportunity to speak their truth, and that this gets sorted out. I think really those 3 words, protect the players, are a very, very good one for us to end today, because that's exactly what we should be doing. It's sport at the end of the day, and we shouldn't be seeing people in this sort of situation where they're just trying to play football, having to jump through ridiculous hoops from people that should know better. It's going to be a great game. It's 0-0. There's a minute gone. I hope everybody enjoys it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you for being in the comments. Thank you, Marty, for managing to make your microphone work. And we will see you all next time. Goodbye.